What's going on YouTube? It's Texans Takeover back with another video. In today's video, I have the Big Ten version of a 7-round mock draft. Same challenge as the one of yesterday where I can only select players, but this time only players that come from the Big Ten. Yesterday was the SEC. Now we're going to the conference that, in my opinion, has dominated college football the last 3 years. Facts also rely with that too, with Michigan, Ohio State, and Indiana winning the national championships in the last 3 years. Two of them going on to have undefeated seasons in Michigan and Indiana. Michigan 15-0 beat Washington in the national championship 34-13, and then obviously Indiana just beat Miami the other night, and then Ohio State beat Notre Dame. But they also lost 2 games that season, losing to Oregon and Michigan. Um, but yeah, we got a 7-round mock draft, Big Ten style, only Big Ten teams. So we'll just start this draft here. And I'm hoping no offensive line go early. Spencer Fauner does go there. Does that mean I want to trade up with the Chargers? Ooh. Does Olave get Ione go here or not? I'm going to risk it for the biscuit. He doesn't. He goes 25 to the Browns there. I thought he would have fell if, he wasn't selected, but ultimately he did. He did end up going there at 24, which is probably the worst beat that you could have, but I think this pretty much means we have to trade down from the spot. I think 36 could be great. I think 37 could be even better. We have the Giants' third-round pick, so are you kidding me? Really? Only a 30% chance? If we could do something like this, I'd be all in. It only has a 45% chance, but it goes through. We trade down from 28 all the way to 36. And we will see who's on the board. Here at 36, you have both C.J. Allen and Marner Freeling, which would have been great for yesterday in the SEC only challenge. But here at 36, I think the easy pick is to go Emmanuel Pregnon. One of the better off. Are you kidding me? Jennings Dunker goes there over Marner Freeling. Oh wow. Yeah, I think Emmanuel Pregnon's the easy pick there. Just one of the best guards in the country this year. A lot of people like to say he's a sleeper pick, but I think he's grown out of that. Just in my opinion. I think a lot of people are starting to rate who he is now as a player. And yeah, I mean, Pregnon's been great this year. I think he definitely deserves all the hype that he's been getting. And that ultimately lands him. Where did John Coleman go already? Where is he? Did he return to? Oh, they dropped him in rankings. Okay, wow. Similar to Emmett Johnson, who is a Big Ten guy. We got 4 Big Ten running backs there. But yeah, I think Emmanuel Pregnon, one of the most solid guards in this draft. I think this could be another trade down spot because your next guy is probably Dylan Tinnaman that you'd like to go for. He's all the way down there at rank 49, so I think you could collect a couple of extra picks there. If you go somewhere to like 43, if you can get 90 or 111, 149, I think this would be great. You don't, even though it has a 70% chance of being accepted. There we go. Finally got it through. And here at 43, AJ Halsey just goes. I would have liked the idea of Jennings Dunker with that second pick that we had. It just never came to fruition. But here at 43, I think it's a great pick. And I think someone that I really like to fit in at safety for the Texans just because of how good he is in coverage, but as well as stopping the run. And it's still in Tinnaman. I think one of the better players in this class, someone else from the Big Ten, just goes there. In Kamari Ramsey, he's another great safety. I just prefer Dylan Tinnaman just because of his ability to stop the run in comparison to Kamari Ramsey. Very similar to Caleb Bullock, and I think that's because he was, developed similar to Caleb Bullock in the same system. Caleb Tiernan does go there, one of the true offensive tackles in this class, and he's very good at pass blocking. So that's something you can consider, but I just decided to side against that. Here at 59, I think it's another trade down spot. Not too many Big Ten options here at the top of this board. Elijah Surratt is there, and he's starting to go higher, but I don't think the Texans are really looking at receiver here. You can look at running back. John Coleman is there, even though he got ranked lower. Max Clare is there. Other than that, you're looking at Marlon Klein as the only two declarees in the oh, Lake McCree and Riley Nowakowski is there too. Um, Jack Belling's there too, actually. He's not a bad player by any means. I think someone that could definitely get drafted. But yeah, I think here at 59, it's another trade down spot. I'm looking to get to like 68. If I could get something like this, we're just stacking up on picks. Uh, and we'll go 243 to get this across the board. Just never wants to go through the first time for some reason. And we have, I did not realize that. We have 3 back-to-back picks there. Uh, at 67, 68, and 69. Um, yeah, that's very funny the way it ended up happening. I just wasn't paying attention to the board. I forgot we had that Giants third round pick. And then we traded for the Raiders one early on in this draft. You can see no Big Ten guys besides D'Angelo Ponds went, and he's going to be a nickel in the NFL just because of his size. So I'm not too concerned with that pick there. Here at 67, Anthony Lucas could definitely be someone you consider if you want to play him as a backup edge rusher, which definitely could be considered because you don't know what the future of Dylan Horton or Derek Barnett would be heading next year. Jacoby Lane's another great receiver, just a good deep threat guy, and played on the boundary for USC this year. Good size, has the jump ball ability, and if you want someone to be a backup to Jaden Higgins or Nico Collins, then this could definitely be your guy. But I think that's Xavier Hutchinson's role, so I'm not going to take that away from him. I think Anthony Lucas could be an intriguing option here, but I think if you're going edge rush, you'd like to go Derek Moore, probably just because of his production. Uh, yeah, I don't know what to do here really. I'm gonna go Max Clare, I believe, just because there's no real true great tight end other than him in the Big Ten. But he was great this year for them. Um, Good receiving threat, good at blocking the run. I think would be a great fit in Houston. Very similar tight end to Jack Andrews. Um, so that's my pick there at 67. Here at 68, I think this could be a trade down spot. I really don't mind moving down somewhere to like 94 and picking him like 168, 190, or 130. Okay, well, what if we go to 84? What if we go to 80? 52% chance. We're stacking them on draft picks, so there's that. There you go, Elijah Surratt there at 68. Not a bad pick. Here at 69, I am going to go with Mr. Jonah Coleman down the board there. I think a great pick. Uh, all things considered, just a really good back. I think a good physical back that is powerful between the tackles. And then you could double up on back here if you really want to. You could go Evan Johnson. And I'm actually going to, I believe, trade up here. I think this could intrigue some people, but we have the draft capital. I think it's best if we just move up. If we get like 98, then 170 or 111. 98 and 115 to move up to 85, and then if we go up to like 91, I think that could be an intriguing option. And that's what we do. So we're giving up some more draft capital here, but we do still have 7 picks remaining in this draft. And here at 80, I'm going to go with Corder Smith. I think a guy that's going to play guard in the NFL, but at the same time, he's a very good pass blocker as well as a run blocker. Is he going to? No, we're going to go 81, 152 to steal that Jags pick at 81. Or 16. Yeah, 165 is fine. So we're going to go back to back here, and I'm going to go with Carter Smith with my first one, a guy that's going to play guard for us. And I think really solidify that offensive line with Emmanuel Pregnon there. Just 2 very solid guards, both good at pass protection, both good in the run game, and I think would help out this offensive line drastically in terms of just being able to develop it in pass block, gap scheme, zone scheme. They're both great in. Obviously, Indiana's more of an RPO type team, so screen passes and all that we'd improve on as well. And then here at 81, I am going to go with Derek Moore to be a backup edge rusher for us. I think that's very important to this team, to be honest. Evan Johnson does go there at 89. Someone I would have considered, someone that I actually kind of like a little bit more than Jonah Coleman, but very similar backs. I think Evan Johnson does have the protection that you're looking for from a, RB1 in college football. Zakee Whitley goes there at 90, someone that I was considering, but ultimately didn't go with. Denied Sutton goes there as well. Just a very athletic edge rusher from Penn State. I decided to go Derek Moore. He has the protection, and I think he looks like a traditional Texans edge rusher with the height, weight, and frame that he does possess. So that's why the selection was there. He also had 12 sacks for Michigan this year, or 11, sorry. So incredible sack numbers, really good in the pass rush game. Um, and then I talked about Carter Smith enough. Here at 91, I think I'm going to go Isaiah World here, and I don't think that should be a question. Yeah, that's exactly what my pick is going to be. Uh, just a tackle that could play true tackle, didn't grade out the best, but you see his frame, basically Trent Brown there. If he's able to understudy Trent Brown, then that would be best case scenario for me, in my opinion. Uh, get one year at backup right tackle two, and then once Trent Brown decides to move on, this is when you slot him in, and I think he's a great player. I just think he needs to be taught the way that the Texans play the offensive line. J.C. Davis is going to be a guard in the NFL, but definitely a solid option there if you're looking for someone to come in on this offensive line down the board a little bit. I just think the tackle need is a pretty big need, not knowing the future of Trent Brown. But even if you get Trent Brown back, I think Isaiah World should be a selection that you look at. Um, in terms of, just the future and moving forward. Anyways, here at 106, there's not much there. There is Pat Coogan there down the board, which I'm definitely eyeing. Nicholas Singleton is there too. Katron Allen on top of that. Just very similar ranked backs, which is pretty funny in my opinion. And I'm gonna take my pick back. Give me one. Give me 134. Um, and 128, and I'll give you 106. It is accepted. And the Raiders go with Albert Regis, which is a pretty fun one there. And we are just going to wait our turn down the board. And here at 128, this is where we're going to pull the trigger on Mr. Pat Coogan. Just one of the best centers in the class. I think probably one, or the best, in my humble opinion. I know Jake Slaughter is my center too. And then Connor Liu would be probably my center three, but I'm just in love with Pat Coogan and the way he plays. I think he has a very good frame for a center too. Um, you don't see centers that big usually. You see them around 6'3", 6'4", especially Texan centers with Jarrett Patterson and Jake Andrews, little bit smaller guys. But I think Pat Coogan's a force there at the center position. I think he'd be very valuable for the Texans to bring in, and I think someone that could lead this offensive line. And I think that's our we have 3 Oregon players, 2 Indiana players, only one Ohio State player with an Ohio State dominated class, but it seems like Caden McDonald seems to be going up the boards every time I do one of these mock drafts, and I think that's fair because of how good he is as a run stuffer. Uh, Other than that, you had Ione Sadiq go in the first round. These guys from Ohio State are going to go early on. One of the most talented teams in college football, just weren't able to put it all together uh, against a very good Miami team off the bye. And the one thing the Big Ten has that you're you have a need or doesn't have that you kind of have a need for is the D tackle position. They do have Zane Durant, who just doesn't have the frame that you're looking for. Rayshon Benny definitely does, and he's a very good run stuffer, so that's something you could look into later in the draft. Keyshawn Silver, just another good frame guy, but just didn't really produce all that well at USC. Devin Eastern, just another decent frame guy, but didn't produce all that much at Minnesota. But then again, it's Minnesota, so there's that. Here at 134, I think Drew Aller could definitely be an intrigued option to be a backup quarterback and just a project guy. But yeah, I'm gonna go Davison Igbenos just to be a backup corner. Just has the height and weight that you're looking for from a traditional boundary corner. Excuse me. As you can see, my mouse is dying on battery there. Just yeah, has traditional height and weight that you're looking for in a corner. Really good year this year. Really toned down in terms of the penalties. I don't know if it shows you penalties on here, but heavily penalized in this year and that year. This year he wasn't, and he was one of the better corners in college football. I think someone that could definitely improve alongside Jalen Kilgore as the draft process goes on. And I think someone that the Texans can definitely consider there at 134, as well as Decario Davis, who was excellent for Washington 2 years ago in their national championship year, and also has the traditional frame that you're looking for from boundary quarter at about 6'4". Down here at 152, though, I think this is a trade down spot because you are looking for some picks later in the draft. Because you're looking to fill that defensive line need that I talked about earlier on. And I think somewhere in the 170s, 180s, 180 and 184 for 152 would be perfect. And I give you 6 next year. That's perfect. I'll do that all day of the week. Surely helps out my draft to get those 2 picks. Because here at 181, Max Llewellyn can actually play on the interior if you really want him to. He's a lot better of a pass rusher than a run stuffer. And I think that's because he was on the edge. Roman Hemby's down there. He was a great running back for Indiana this year. But I don't think that's the pick. Jermaine Matthews, another very solid corner for Ohio State. I think he should probably go back to college. Don't really know what his deal is yet. But here I'm going to go with Rayshon Benny. I just think a very solid run stuffer there. That would definitely help the team out in terms of depth, at least at that position. And then with my second to last pick, I think Ethan Oniawaya. Onyanwa, excuse me, I just pronounced that horribly. I think he can play tackle in the NFL instead of guard, but didn't really play all too much this year and didn't really play all too well when he played this year. That's one of the big changes that they had on their offensive line this year because their offensive line didn't fulfill their potential. Elijah Pritchett could be another intriguing option. I think guard in the NFL. But you could look for the depth there. You could look for depth at edge with Eric O'Neal, who had a very solid year in 2024. Yeah, it's really just what you want to do here. I don't think you can go that wrong anywhere. You could go Luke Altmaier to be a backup quarterback for you. And you know what? Quarterback depth can be important, so that's what I'm going to go for there at 184. And now we move down the board to 244, which is going to be our last pick in the draft. I'm not going to do anything else. We'll go turbo there. With our last pick in the draft, I think Riley Mahlman could be interesting. Another guy that can actually play true tackle in the NFL with his frame. Very long arms. I think someone he could develop. But if you get Carter Smith and Isaiah Roll pretty early on, I think Carter Smith's more of a guard, so I'll take his name out of that. But Isaiah World, I think, is going to be your right tackle of the future. I think Keyshawn Silver could be someone that you look to just because of his frame, and I think he could develop in. I think Xavier Nwankpa was very solid for Iowa this year. Just always very good defenses, really good run stuffer there if you want to look to 2 safeties. But I'm going to go with Noah Whittington here, just very productive for Oregon in the games that he played this year. I think he missed a couple due to injury. Could be wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 conference games. 3 play. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like he missed a game in there too. But yeah, let's give him a pick here. Just a really good back, very similar to Jonah Coleman earlier in the draft. But you get him down the board, and they're 2 very similar backs. Could definitely be your RB3 heading next year. So that's what I went with. Instead of Max Clare, they wanted me to go with Elijah Surratt, another Big Ten guy. So there's actual decent suggestion. This one they give me a B minus. They don't like the Altmaier, Benny, or Igbinosun picks. Don't like Carter Smith pick. Don't like the Tinneman pick that high or Max Clare that high. And they don't like the Pregnon pick that high too much. But I think this draft went pretty well in terms of an all Big Ten draft. Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. Definitely a longer video than the SEC one because my voice does feel a lot better. I'm starting to feel a little bit better, so yeah, there is that. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe though. Thank y'all so much for 300 subscribers. We hit that not too long ago, so I want to thank y'all for that. As y'all know, this is a fairly fan-base driven channel. The conference only videos are actually suggested to me by someone down in the comment section below. I shouted them out in the last video. I'll likely shout them out again in this video as well. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And as always, it's Texans Takeover, and I'm out. Peace.